And from Mook the Week, it is time for The Way It Is. Today we're joined by Ambrose, Weda, a lawyer, and also with us in studio is Member of Parliament of Ndiwa, Agostinho Neto. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good to see you both. How was your weekend? How have you been?
Great. I think I spent last night, and not last night, the Saturday night in Meru. I'd gone to...
What was happening there?
A friend of mine has been elevated to be a judge. So I joined him to celebrate.
Celebrations.
And then
you had a homecoming?
Yes, yes. I think that was home leaving.
Home leaving, okay.
The home leaving party.
Okay.
So it was a great one. And then throughout the week it was very busy. I also went back to school.
Nice. I'm also back to school.
Ah,
so
great,
students.
Yes.
Learned friends.
Yes, that would be great.
That would be good. We'll only start with a quick catch-up. So maybe you can tell us how you've been, Neto.
Crazy. I just got in yesterday morning from Scotland. I've been watching the Scotland referendum the whole week, the process of the campaigns and the voting. So I just got in yesterday morning. So here I am in studio just to catch up. I'm catching up with all the news and everything else that's happening.
And everything that's happening. It's good.
I heard alleging that there was reggae.
Yeah, there was reggae.
What do you say? What did you see?
I mean, I think it just goes to speak to the sanctity of electoral processes. That one, if at all, elections are highly emotive, like it was in the case of the Scots wanting to be independent. If at all a few things do not seem right, everyone else will respond to cry foul. But I really think that at some point the no vote was overwhelming in some places, and it was a case of the middle class wanting their freedom, and they thought the Lords used a lot of money to influence and tip the election.
Yeah.
So
what did you think? What did you make of it, Weda?
I think they did the right thing.
To vote against?
Yes. This thing of subdividing and subdividing and subdividing and coming in up with tiny countries, when you can see the US is expanding and becoming bigger, you can see that we harness resources, ideas, and within it, you can give people what is called self-actualization or the right to self-determination within a wider context. We are bigger. You can see the United States of America. It is powerful because it is bigger.
Were there demonstrations? Yeah, sorry.
Yes, the last, after the results were announced, there were actually demonstrations, and they got into throwing chairs for 2 nights after the election. It was really bad. But I really think it's because, one of the cities, Glasgow Council, which posted an overwhelming yes vote, 55%. You know, it's more of a middle-class city, and they want independence. They claim the English have run the big business. The young and upward mobile people living in Glasgow really feel like it's time for them to get jobs, it's time for them to own property, and they think that the English own most of those things. So really they appreciate the fact that they need to stay as a united kingdom with the Queen being the head of the monarchy, the Queen being the head of the UK, but I really think that they think there's not sufficient opportunity. Just the same resource issues that we have in Kenya, and so that why I really think that their concerns are sufficiently legitimate. Yes, it is not good to disintegrate the country, but I really think they need more power devolved, they need more resources devolved, and they also need equity, just like we need in Kenya.
Yeah, and several promises were made ahead of the elections to ensure that the Scots are happier going forward. But also some argued that majority of those who voted no, you know, are much older, that in the next few years, perhaps this referendum might come back again and the separation might eventually happen.
Yes and no. Yes, it's true that the people who voted no on the old, actually the Lords, Scotland is basically 2 cities, Edinburgh and Glasgow. Edinburgh, where voted no overwhelmingly, is where the rich people are. Most of the people with the big money, and you know, most of them are voting no to protect their business interests. They are miners, they are people in the oil exploration industries, they are people with big companies. So that to disintegrate, to give them Scotland as only as a country of business would have been really limiting their means. But those in Glasgow and the people voting yes really want opportunity. They want space. And yes, it is true that in the next coming years, because I mean the margins are very small, 400,000 votes difference, but I really think they spoke and they had voices heard. Yes.
Had it gone otherwise, it would have been a huge embarrassment for the Prime Minister. Yeah,
it would have been a huge embarrassment. And I think in terms of economics and the New World Order, it would not have been very good. Look at countries like Lesotho, Swaziland, Zanzibar. They are there claiming their country, but they can hardly do anything. I think the senior people are able to see that the future is in unity. It is not in disintegration. Okay. But the younger people, I think, they want to swim in smaller ponds. Like now, for me, I can say, look, let's divide Nyanza from Kenya. You know, if you divide Nyanza today, I'll be a very big man. The MP will be a very big man. You cannot decide the fate of that small country without consulting some of us. But if it is a united Kenya, then we are small people.
Then you're reduced.
So the motivation for the young people, I think, was not right for the world.
To go their own way.
I mean, I really think that it was not fair for Scotland to want to disintegrate. But the concerns for wanting to disintegrate were legitimate, which need to be addressed. And I hope that moving forward, the politicians would really address them. But just something to pick up from Scotland is the fact that the person who led the yes vote did actually quit immediately after he lost the vote, the election, and which for me was a very instructive thing. That you know, Scotland was larger than him, and then so he had to move on, having led the yes vote that overwhelmingly lost, and so I really think that was a good lesson for.
But they didn't overwhelmingly lose. They did okay.
They did. I mean, in terms
actually, even Cameron tweeted and said that was a well-fought out battle. They did pretty good because they got them running scared. The government.
I think the Prime Minister was just being a gentleman. Guys say you have lost. And I'm glad that he's praising what the man did by quitting.
Yes.
That's what you need to bring home. You need to go and tell Baba that it is time to quit.
It's nothing about Baba, but what I'm saying is that the good lessons that sometimes you realize that you've led the country towards the wrong direction, and you own up. And
what do you say to what he said? Is it time?
No, Baba needs to win the next election first. So really,
how many elections do you have to lose for you to win? Surely?
No, I mean he hasn't been president. If I told you he was president, and then you can really tell him you have a chance to take a break. But I mean he's fought.
So the goal is for him to be president.
I thought we should be fronting Honorable Agostinho Neto as our presidential candidate from Lowland in the next elections. Now, how are you flogging somebody who should have been quietly retired? I thought you were a presidential candidate running against President Uhuru, and then after that you can go against Honorable Ruto or against Peter Kenneth, and as you grow, the way he grew.
I mean, so you even if I was to run for president, from your expressions, you're hoping that I should be losing constantly.
No, you grow. Remember, just a minute. Remember, the first time Honorable Raila Odinga ran for presidency was in 1997.
Okay.
And then it took him 10 years. When he came back, you could see Honorable Kibaki had to go under the table. Okay. President Uhuru also ran. When he came back 10 years, Raila went under the table.
So he's saying the first time is always kind of like
so
to
we
feel,
must have
the ground.
a leader. We must have a leader who has time. Time to lose and then to come in. That's why I would be fronting for Honorable Neto. Now you are fronting for somebody who, if
before you front for Honorable Neto, let's just say that Honorable Raila Odinga has done a very good job in ensuring that we have democratic space, ensuring that Kenyans have a new constitution, and I really think that you know, let's give him this chance to see what he would be as President Raila Odinga, so that when we're judging him, we'll be judging him as President Raila Odinga who did this, who did not do that. But I really think it's also fair that let's give credit where it's due. He has done his part and he has lived very well, and would have just be judging him wrongly.
I don't deny. In fact, I congratulate him for the work he has done.
All right,
but there must be a time you say, okay, hallelujah.
let's move away from the Scotland referendum, come back home, and all of last week, culminating yesterday, the 21st, marking 1-year anniversary since that Westgate attack. First, the absence of government in yesterday's memorial service. What do you think about that?
You must remember that Westgate itself, what went through, is a sad memory for the people of Kenya. Okay, it's very sad, so people want it behind them. Then the way it was handled, both by the security and everybody, again, was exceedingly embarrassing. So both government and the people would rather forget that and have that chapter closed. And the more you go there, the more people say we want inquiry into what happened, we want to know the white paper bags that were coming out of this place. And again, all this can end up embarrassing the military, embarrassing government. So sometimes you...
So you just have to forget about all the bad, don't
sometimes
ask questions,
you don't
learn lessons, just move on.
You don't no lessons were learned. You can see changes being done. You can see changes being done.
Highlight for me 3.
You can
very quickly.
You can see changes being done to NSIS. You can
Other than NIS change,
being done into the military. You can see it being done slowly. There are not things you do in a day.
Okay.
Otherwise, the president can find himself out of power. You go slowly, slowly. But at that time, mistakes were done. Okay, including the white paper bags. Now,
that is that doesn't even compare to the other mistakes people would be concerned about. The white paper bags are a non-issue, in fact.
It actually, you see, when you look deeply, even the security agencies, they fought among themselves.
And killed.
They even gave the Minister for Internal Security conflicting information, sometimes wrong, sometimes bad. So if you look at all those, it's like a bad movie. It's a horror movie that we'd rather forget as we make corrections. Remember, Kenyans said, we would like an inquiry. If we went into the...
And the president promised one?
Yes, at that time.
And then what happened?
Going deep would have really embarrassed many people and weakened our military strategy. Therefore, sometimes we tell Kenyans, just hold on, corrections will be made, but let's not expose ourselves. If your socks is torn, you don't unleash it in front of international guests.
Then why come out at the beginning? Because that's one of the promises he made. Also, he talked about heads rolling. He was very upset in the height of, after just the attack. So then when you now come talking about people to forget and moving
It's not that they forget that heads are actually rolling. You can see heads are rolling. Okay. But it was not supposed to roll in a day. It rolls slowly.
I really think what we're dealing with, Sophie, is a Cornish government, a government that cannot be trusted, a government that cannot keep its word, and a government that has lost relevance. First the president conned Kenyans, told us that we were going to have a judicial commission of inquiry, and he said we must come to the root cause of these issues and Kenyans must learn. Then came the parliamentary committees headed by Jubilee making the inquiry. The 2 reports, first you have a chairman who wakes up and dismisses the whole report, makes his own recommendations, and the president then uses those recommendations of the Committee on Administration of Justice and says that because Parliament says of this matter, the presidency has to wait a bit. And then he knew that was going to be a cropper. When the report came to Parliament, it was not even worth the ink it was printed on. The recommendations were at variance with the findings. I mean, so you really find that they're simply playing with the emotions of Kenyan people. And first, our condolences to the people who lost life and limb at Westgate. And if at all you voted for the Jubilee administration, it's supposed to be protecting the lives of Kenyans. Yeah. It's supposed to be protecting their property. It's supposed to be ensuring that we can pursue happiness, that you go and have your coffee, you go and have your meal without really bothering about who's going to attack you. But I really think the president has failed this country and the Jubilee administration has failed the country. And yesterday, and I'm happy that you noted very well, instead of commemorating the event, assuring the victims something is going to be done, the whole Jubilee bandwagon were doing other things, doing what they know best, attacking CORD and giving other illusions to Kenyans. I mean, really, it's a travesty of justice. It's a disappointment, and I think it has a government that has no legitimacy. Yeah,
because for Ruto not to have been there, at least, the president is out of the country, but for him not to have been there, because this is a perfect opportunity to come, restate the government's commitment and position, but to go all referendum business.
Now, I think he's used very harsh words.
Okay.
The usual harsh words from the CORD side of the country.
But do you agree that was a mistake for them not to have been present yesterday?
What is critical is not being present at Westgate.
Okay. It's important to stand in solidarity with your people.
What is critical is taking steps that will ensure that we do not have such occurrences again.
A botched police recruitment.
In some parts.
Right now, it's all just pending in court. In terms, there's no new
These days, everything is taken to court. These days, everything. Well, because of the new constitution and the way of making money. You know why some of these cases are taken to court? You take them to court so that you're paid, so that you withdraw the case or do whatever. Everything is being taken to court. Don't take that as the legitimate thing that once it is taken to court, something is wrong with it. There were mistakes, I think, with the police recruitment. Some people were bribed, some people were bribing. That is there.
Okay.
But back to the question of terrorism. The key element is not about parading yourself at Westgate. It is about correcting those mistakes that were there, those lapses that have been there, that created an environment for this.
And the only thing I've heard you saying, as far as what you think 1 year on is the biggest achievement Jubilee has made is the change in the helm of NIS. Other than that,
it's not at the helm alone. This is a whole process. There was a fault that was seen. There was a fault that the president saw. Okay, and you then get down to correcting this fault from the bottom as you go the way up. And you can see this is manifested by reduced activities of the terrorists. Although terrorism is an international problem,
Sophie, I really think one thing that lawyer Ambrose said I need to understand is that if you're elected to office, the first thing that the people who elected you want to know is at least that you care. I mean, it doesn't matter how much I'll be waxing lyrical as a member of parliament for Ndiwa if I do not behave like I care for the people of Ndiwa. For government to have been absent at Westgate yesterday, I think was an indication that they don't just care. I mean, they don't even bother. That's one. But two, what was the import of a judicial commission of inquiry? One, it would have been saying, gentlemen, this is where we went wrong. Our police were corrupt, our soldiers stole, we had raw intelligence, we did not use it. I mean, it's good to be honest. I mean, you know, the thing about being in government, the thing about being elected is, one, sometimes you have to say the truth. You have to tell the people, here, we got intelligence, we did not act on it, and because we did not do that, this is what we did. You're responsible to the people. This power is delegated. It's not... You're not sitting there supreme, you know, with an armor or whatever sort, but you're supposed to be telling us, these things went wrong, and this is what we're doing to it. We are putting in place power, you're holding it in trust for the benefit of the people of Kenya. So to sit down and imagine that, you know, ostrich position, head in the sand, I really think is unfair. And
before we go and break, Neto, 1 year on, do you feel Kenya presently stands, government and security agencies, we're at a better place in our counter-terrorism strategy?
I really think we've done zero. Okay. I mean, Kenya is every day under attack, and I think since Jubilee came to power, we've had more terrorist attack than we've ever had in the history of Kenya. I mean, in just 2 years, I think we've had several bombings, we've had several attacks, more than Kenya has ever had in 50 years. So I really think there's something definitely wrong with the security strategy of this country and this government.
Finally, Weda, before we go on break?
I don't know whether Mheshimiwa Neto lives in Syria or Iraq, because there were lapses, but you can see there has been tremendous progress being made, and there has been reduction in the activities of terrorists. So to say that things are worse, bad is fear-mongering. And as a leader, these are the things that give room to these terrorists. When one side is fear-mongering like that, the other one is fear-mongering. There were mistakes, I can say, but those mistakes are being addressed, and you can see the result. We are more concerned with the result. He is talking about judicial commission of inquiry. We have had several judicial commissions of inquiry during Moi's time, during Kibaki's time. Now, this one was bordering on our security system. To put your security system outside the mistakes in there so that people see how you operate, your enemies see how to operate, would have been worse off. I've just said it's like having your own torn socks, then you show it to the international guests. That would have been, we agree there was a problem, but the problem is being addressed. And you can see the positive outcomes.
I really think that to refuse to admit, then first, why did the president commit to a judicial commission for inquiry?
Because that's the thing, they're not sort of like thinking through these things before they're said. From that, you know, and there are many other times we've seen a backtracking, the president saying one thing and then going back, and maybe perhaps some, you know, these advisors coming in play.
People,
I mean, it shows lack of coordination. Just let me help him with a few things. Yeah. The fact that there are several commission of inquiry reports that have not been implemented does not mean Jubilee ought not to implement its own commission of inquiry reports. I mean, in fact, it should have proved us wrong by having a judicial commission of inquiry and then implementing the report. And you see, an investigation or inquiry ought not to have been exposing the real security apparatus that we have, but the faults and the flaws in that particular system. That is what we're asking.
Two wrongs don't make a right.
You must appreciate one thing. This was a new president coming in with myriad of challenges. Worst of them, terrorism. And the first thing, because of the way we've been doing things before, you walk there and say, there will be a commission of inquiry. But when you all sit down and look at all the parameters, look at what is in the best interest of the country at the moment, that is when proper advice comes and you say, look, it would not be proper to expose the military, to expose the security to all this political rally form of solving issues in the name of commission of inquiries that we have had over the years. So the key element then was to look at the solutions, which you can see and should be able to say, thank you, something is actually bearing fruit.
All right.
I mean, I don't see anything bearing fruit in terms of security, and I mean, I'm waiting for him to actually point a couple. And I'm happy you raised the issue with them of one police recruitment. You know, they're talking about an increased number of police being recruited. First, that was a corrupt process, issue that is still. I'm happy Grace is still in court. But even then, look at places that are prone to attack. A place like Wajir, a place like Mandera. I mean, having been in those places, you have 40 policemen. No fuel, the fuel that they have in terms of surveillance. Now you're being told you're having more police vehicles. That is part of the strategy, having more police vehicles, but there's no fuel. So why do you have 100 vehicles, no fuel for them? Why do you have a police force that is very, very not motivated? And how do they expect them to fight crime? I really think that you can go around talking all these things, that something is being done, and I don't think it's really sad.
I thought when you are approving the budget, that was your role. It was your role to look at the budget and say, Mr. President, where's the money for the fuel? Where's the money for these vehicles? Or you people are thinking government is something from heaven that operates on its own. It is the taxes you generate. It is the budget you approve that turns into services. Now, in Parliament, if you cannot address these things, and then they address outside in political rallies by yourselves, who also now appear like there's no clue, like some of us outside, then where are we going?
Good.
Should we dissolve all these institutions that have a king?
No,
so
I mean,
your role as Parliament.
Yes.
No, I mean, it just shows you the priorities of a government, because look, one, we as members of Parliament do make proposals, like some of these things that we're telling them. One, apart from just increasing surveillance, apart from just increasing the number of police vehicles, let's also match the money. Let's also make sure that we make it efficient. And Jubilee will not hear none of that, and half the time they have always marshaled the numbers to do the wrong things. And I'm thinking that they're not honest about all these things. Even in terms of the police recruitment, look at what they've done. We're talking about a country that's supposed to be not ethnicized, but each time they make any approvals, each time they make any appointments, it's all...
But that would be an unfair assessment going by the last ambassadorial positions, where a lot of support across the board from Quad as well, applauding, all beginning with, we want to congratulate the president if you go on that line, but let's not go there, because I want to move on to the president being summoned to the International Criminal Court for a status conference. Many from the Jubilee are saying, do not even dare go. What do you think?
I would think that those who are from Jubilee who are saying the president should not go either posturing or trying to cry louder than the bereaved, or to endear themselves to the president and his core support base, or basically to mislead the common mwananchi, or populists, or for lack of anything to say, then they sit in rallies and whatever. This is a legal process. And in this legal process, we have the Attorney General of the Republic of Kenya, and then we have the president lawyers. They are the people, okay? And the status conference is a legal process. Whether the case is weak or strong, it is quite in order for them to say, look, let the president come, we will be making an announcement here and there. So to tell the president not to go is actually asking the president to be a fugitive. It will revive that case. How will it revive a dying case? They'll go there and say, where's the accused person? ICC is just like a bidder. You don't attend court even on a mentioned date. Warrants will be issued against you. Now, when they are issued, everything else stops until you are arrested. Okay? Technically, President Uhuru Kenyatta will be a fugitive. He will not be able to travel out of the country. He will not even go anywhere. And then that will give the court brigade not only fodder to spread propaganda, but to push for his removal. As a lawyer and as a member of the Jubilee side of the country, I would be the last person to say the president should not go. He should go there early enough, a day or two, so that on the day of the status conference, he's there in time. All we need for now, what succeeded for us, were prayers. Prayers that propelled him to the presidency, prayers. So we'll pray for him a week before he goes. But those who are posturing, I can see Kindiki, I can see Ndwale, I can see some people.
They say it's an effort by Bensouda to just simply embarrass the president, to have that high level a leader sit in the criminal court.
It is not Bensouda. Bensouda is a prosecutor. You make your case, your lawyer says something else, then the judges decide. Let us not
but she's the one who's made those submissions.
Yes, and then
to get the judges to decide.
Yes, she made the submissions. The other side responded, and then the judges decide. But even if you look at that decision,
even the ICC would want to have a.
Even if it's not, if you look at that decision, look at the Honorable Ruto case. They told him, we will excuse you, but for major, when after a break,
you come.
You come. When a major witness is testifying, you come. Now, this is a status conference. I've read the decisive one. Whether they're going to postpone the case indefinitely. Yes. Now, it therefore follows that when they say the president should come, it is in line with the previous decision of the government. So those other people are posturing, you know.
Neto.
As a CORD politician, if Uhuru does not go to the Hague, it is good for us because then we get to the presidency earlier than we expected, and that is good for CORD.
And you get to the presidency how?
I mean, because then, like Weda says, he'll be a fugitive president, and then, you know, there are articles in the constitution, you can then push for his removal, which is better for us, and it happens faster than 2017. But on the other side, on the flip side, I really think that the president did take oath to defend and uphold the Constitution. That's one thing. And the Constitution believes in the principles of rule of law. Now, for the president and his cronies to be crying up so loud, I really think it's immoral. To tell us that it is... but
we haven't heard from him in as far as whether he'll attend or not. He hasn't spoken.
I mean, but when you see half of his cronies speak, you know that really he's just trying to raise all these feathers. But let me say this. The president was an accused person before ascending to the presidency. Jubilee has done nothing to help the president from not being in the ICC. There are several things they should have done. One, we are victims of post-election violence. No one is bothered about them. No one has done anything about them. You saw the Attorney General go to the ICC several times for a referral of the case. Now, Weda will tell you that for that process of referral to have taken place, Kenya and Jubilee should have done a couple of things. One, shown that they were already put in place a local mechanism to deal with post-election violence of 2007. They did not do that. Two, Kenya right now is refused to, ratify Article 36 of the African Court on Human and People's Rights, which is a court that will, for example, help Kenya and other future presidents who would have been subject to ICC in terms of really saying we do not want our members in the Hague because we have an African mechanism process. Kenya has refused to ratify that particular protocol. Third, there's nothing that Kenya has done unique in a manner that would have wanted a referral. So in terms of speaking for people victims of justice, yes. I really think that, let's be fair, Uhuru needs to go to the ICC, and he ought to do that because, one, he did bind himself that he'll be attending the status each time. That was part of the agreements. If he does not, that is his problem because, he loses the presidency first, and that, of course, is good for court, like I said.
But we've seen this back and forth, as you comment, whether between the prosecution and the Attorney General in terms of what prosecution has asked for to beef up her case or help rebuild it. Yes. And Attorney General has always talked about lack of specificity on what she's asking and all these things. And many wonder who's fooling who in terms of what she's asking for, what the government claims to have given, or what it cannot give because it doesn't understand what they're asking for.
Yeah, you'll see actually Bensouda saying, we want President Uhuru's financial records. Now that is wide. Do you want part of his inheritance from the late father? Do you want shares in which company? What exactly do you want? When it comes to compliance, the law always requires you must be very specific. If we say we want Wanuna's pay slip,
which month?
Do you understand? Between this period and this period. You can't say, we want your income records. Then you say, when I was a student, my father used to give me this much. You see that one? That is there. Secondly, you cannot ask an accused person to self-incriminate. It's against the treaty. It's against the law. That give us the evidence that we will use to nail you down. Okay. Thirdly, it seems Madame Bensouda wants to tell the world that this man is the one interfering with witnesses. Do you understand? Yet when Ocampo was hovering around this country, being received like a small god, he said, we have kept these witnesses in safe haven, safe corners of the world. You can't reach them. How President Uhuru turned out and reached them now, I don't know. These people are taking us around because we know we were in this country. These evidences were manufactured. They were made. And that is how, at the beginning, some of us said, let's face them. Let's face them because the truth shall set people free. Okay? But now, the prosecutor wants to turn it, and that they want to turn it onto the president. And that's why those who are urging the president not to go actually want to play into the prosecutor's hand. And if our president was to turn a fugitive, I know my big brother, former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, if President Uhuru was to be a fugitive from 9th, I'm sure he will walk around and remove him from power. That I can say, I know.
So he must go in your
He must go, and then he will come back with victory. What I want to clear, there are no president's cronies. Okay. They are just a few charlatans and vultures of reaction purporting to be acting and advising the president. How, even if you are advising the president, how do you advise the president of political rally? How? Unless you want just to be popular with these people purporting to be advising them. How do I advise you? By talking to the opposite, talking to newspapers, or advising KTN. You don't do that. You come to KTN and then you tell them, this is my views.
Yeah.
So those politicians should know that Bensouda is so sensitive that even when that drug ship was blown, he took it, they took it to the Hague and said, this man, you can see, is interfering with witnesses, is interfering with evidence. Even in his own country, you see this is what he did. I would urge them to keep quiet. Those Kenyans who are released, take Kosgei, take Ali, take Mudaura, the first legal advice they were given, legal counsel, was that they shut their mouth, they keep quiet, and their supporters kept quiet. So when you pursue a legal theory, it is sellable. When all the Dwales and these people are making noise, they are providing fodder for the lady Bensouda to actually interfere with the president. I'm
happy that Weda thinks that way, and I'm hoping it should be the vulture on the president. But let's put it this way, that it would be good manners for the president to be in the Hague in terms of showing us that he believes in the spirit of the law. And also in terms of Kenya is not a pariah state. Kenya belongs to the community of nations. And, you know, the crimes for which Uhuru has been accused of are, you know, the worst crimes that humanity can ever imagine. Crimes against humanity, the crimes of genocide. And, you know, this, for example, are crimes that, legally speaking, are ones that shock the conscience of a human being. So it would be good for him to show recompense that really a couple of things happened in Kenya. I might not have been the one responsible, but at least I've submitted myself to the wills of justice. But like I said before, for us it is very good if he does not go, because if he does not go, he stops being president before the end of the year, and that's good for court. And I really think that must be said.
Before we move away from the ICC cases, the witnesses have gotten themselves and have become this interesting subject, and as far as the prosecution with them going rogue, I'd say, trying to paint them as having been, you know, interfered with by the witnesses and co. And on the other side, the defense teams argue that no, in actual fact, it's prosecution or the ICC officials in preparing for the case that interfered with the witnesses. So everybody is wondering, so who interfered with these witnesses? Because it appears there was some interference in as far as their testimony goes.
I don't think there was interference.
You don't think so? It's
this
change of heart.
These witnesses were manufactured.
Okay.
They were promised money, good life abroad, and all these things. And I think our then Kenya Human Rights Commission was actively involved in manufacturing these people. Now, when the Deputy President's case started, and some of these witnesses realized that the examination is so vigorous, things are so thorough. You would say on this date, Honorable Ruto was distributing guns on this and that in your statement. Then you are shown the video clip. You are showed
where he was.
Honorable Ruto said, Toa Madoadoa. You are shown how he was urging people to stay in Rift Valley. Now, the other witnesses, now against a president who not there, they are now saying, the truth is, me, I watched post-election violence on TV. Then he is told, but this was your statement. He said, yeah, I was given this. They were the witnesses were manufactured, coached then. But they have realized it is hot there.
So for you, the blame lies with the ICC officials?
Yes.
I really think that crimes happened in Kenya, 2007, 2008. Kenyans died. So as to whether witnesses were quashed or not, people died. And we need to know who killed them and who planned the process. That is one. But two is just to advise Jubilee and President Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto to be cautious. The ICC is the International Criminal Court, and it's interested in furthering its jurisprudence. The way in which the Kenyan cases came to the ICC was one that was unique. I mean, it was the prosecutor using its own authority to institute the cases. That should be instructive to anyone who is advising the Jubilee lawyers, that one, the prosecutors would want to further that angle of jurisprudence, that one, in the future, moving forward, a prosecutor can move into a country, look at a scenario, and really take people to court and charge them. And if Uhuru does not go to the ICC on August 8th, September, whenever it is, I can tell you for free, he's going to have warrants arrested against him.
What do you make about the witnesses?
The witnesses, I do not think, I think the witnesses have been tampered with. I think, I watched a couple of senators speak very, very candidly, saying we know witness number X, Y, and Z, and this witness really was paid. And I think they went around looking for some of them. Some of them were bought off, some of them were threatened. And I really think that it's true. Witnesses have been tampered with, and perhaps that is what the prosecutor wants to prove at the status conference, that look, this gentleman has messed up my case by scaring the witnesses. The witnesses have been bought off, and that could be tragic for him. I think so. And lawyer Weda, I'm sure, must agree with me.
No. We saw the Ruto case. You saw this posturing. These people are being paid. You get somebody from the village, tell him you will be relocated to America and kept there. You have seen how people cross oceans in dangerous shafts just to go to these countries. So these people are promised. They didn't know the cross-examination would be so vigorous. Now they are coming up. When you say that Ruto was distributing guns, 4,000 guns, and he was in the opposition then. When you say that President Kenyatta then was the leader of Mungiki, yet Mungiki has had Kikuyus more than any other community.
Yes.
The truth is coming out, and therefore we need to accept this. Otherwise, your man, the boss, Baba should have been, I have always said Baba and his counterpart, Mheshimiwa Mwai Kibaki, the two of them, should have led us to the Hague first.
I think one thing that lawyer Weda needs to agree with is that if Uhuru has nothing to hide, then he should actually respect the summons and appear at the status conference.
We wait for that, because we have to see what he'll say first as a person.
What I can assure you is that the president will be at the Hague.
And we put that to our viewers in our question of the day, asking what you think of the summons. Should he go, should he not, as some of the members from Jubilee have advised. And this is some of what you have to say. Haron Kozi says, we're here. Oh, he was waiting for the news. President should attend the ICC court as per the request. Kijana says. Matsanga is watching us this morning and has quite a number of tweets. Thank you, sir, for watching. The sadness of ICC is the bankruptcy exhibited by the OTP, and there's a lot you have to say about the ICC. Waiting to see if there's any of your comments that touches on whether you think the president should go. The entire thing you say was fake. Perhaps the president should not go. Stephen Mutua, you say they will end the case come the 8th. You think it will be thrown out then. And John Jeremy, you say that will not make him a lesser president, and Bensouda will have nothing to cling to again. So just some of your views. Stephen Sun says if Uhuru fails to honor the summon, they may issue a warrant of arrest. And many more of your thoughts. JF Justice, the ICC is a legal process and not a political one. It is the quest for justice, both for accused and victims. We want to take a short break. Keep your comments coming. Do you think President Uhuru should honor the summons to appear before the ICC for a status conference or not? Share your thoughts. 22 and 55 is also where you can text us. We take a break. When we come back, we talk about what unfolded in Narok and what the leader of majority had to say there, and also what we now understand is an apology that cost about 4 million shillings, at least, to bring the brigade to apologize to the president on the Migori incident. Stay with us.